sir, for coming down, and a big pleasure to see you again.
Same here, same here.
You know, you had a long day, and you came straight from North Carolina,
Yeah.
South Carolina, so we understand it's nonstop. So we definitely appreciate you
Thank
coming
you.
back and gracing us with your presence, and we know that you have another book out.
Yeah, it's a one night. It's called One Night. So it's out. I'm back on the road again. You know, it's so funny. It's like I guess this is my 23rd novel and my 22nd book tour.
Wow.
So yeah, so it seems like I've been on the road, gosh, quite a bit. You know,
Nonstop.
planes, trains, automobiles. Sometimes they drive me. Sometimes I drive myself.
Okay.
But you know, but it's really important to get out and just it's really cool to meet the people who read your work. Because as a writer, you work sort of in a vacuum. You're in a room by yourself, or you know, someplace isolated. At least that's the way I work, you know. And then you come out and you see the response to what you've created, and it's just really amazing, you know.
And you're very fortunate, and it's always well received.
Yeah.
Even though you put a lot of material out very quickly,
Uh-huh.
you cannot wait until
Yeah.
it comes out.
Yeah, well, I've done basically a book a year, but there was one period where I did 3 books in 18 months.
Wow.
Yeah, which was a lot of, you're just busy, you know, but it's good though. It's like when you're working for yourself and doing what you enjoy doing, it doesn't feel laborious. It doesn't feel like you're working for somebody else. You don't do it begrudgingly. And for me, I'm constant. I stay motivated because it doesn't feel like I have a job. You know what I mean? Yeah. When you're doing your job, it doesn't feel like I have a job. You know, it doesn't feel like I've had a job since I was an engineer. Yeah, I mean, which is just a good thing. It's something that I didn't see this career coming, but I knew that there was a creative side inside of me, and that's actually how I ended up back, becoming a writer or making myself a writer, because it was just this creative side of me that I always wanted to enjoy, have fun. Play what if, and it's basically writing. You playing what if, like in One Night. What if this man, this woman, who have nothing in common, they're from 2 different societies, if you will, meet and end up on the adventure of their life, and it only lasts for 12 hours.
Now we understand in One Night that you have less characters. Was
Yeah.
this a part of the plan?
Yeah, that was a plan. I've attempted it before. When I did the book Genevieve, I only wanted a couple of characters in it. But by the time I got to the 3rd chapter, I was like, ooh, they've got to go to Odenville. That means more people, which was fine. You know what I mean? I was like, okay. But for this one, I had intended on doing more characters, but then it ended up being basically the 2 characters. And I wanted, and I was working, as I was working on it, I have somebody pop in and out. You know what I mean? But no one's really in. Yeah. Okay. Well, no one, just like, the waitress says hi, or the room service says I'm at the door, or kind of, you know what I mean? Yeah, but for the most part, it doesn't, yeah. It's sort of like when I was in London years ago, I saw a couple of stage plays. I remember one with Jeremy Irons, and I can't remember who his co-star was, but it was only 2 people in the play. And Jeremy Irons probably had 98% of the dialogue. Right, and that's how I felt. It's like I'm sitting in the audience, like, wow. I mean, and he's just it was just totally amazing. He just wonders, like, how could I do a novel? And this would have been 7, 8 years ago when I thought about this. Like, how could I do a novel with just 2 people in it? I remember thinking that as I was sitting there. I was like, is that even possible? And for it to be engaging, as engaging as the stage play was, the concept, because I think then I wasn't prepared for it. Sometimes I think of stuff and it take me a while to get to it, but it's there. You know what I mean? It's a moment before the story lends itself to. Well, for this one, for only 2 people being in it. Yeah, but I just remember thinking I just wanted to have 2 people in a story, and how could I make that happen? And for the most part, that's this one. Yeah.
Well, if anybody can do it, we know that you can. You've done so many different things.
Thanks.
Now, writing it in real time, how was that?
Well, first I just wrote it.
Okay.
And then I went back, and it's the, I guess being technical, trying to figure out, because it's like chapter 1, chapter 2, that doesn't work. Okay, let's go back and put time stamps in. So, what time does the sun go down in L.A. in the winter? Well, in December. So, okay, so the sun sets about 6. So okay, so we say 6:31. you know,
Nice.
and then what it is. So it starts at 6:31, it ends at 6:31. So right, you know.
Nice.
Yeah, well. Actually, on one of the earlier drafts, it started at 6:31 and ended at like 7:45. I say, oh, we're gonna.
That's pretty great though.
Yeah.
So what was your inspiration behind doing that?
Well, nothing really inspired me. It just really just had an idea,
Okay.
and ran with it. I know I've seen films like with Julie Duffy and I can't remember the actor's name, Ethan Hawke. Before Sunset and Before Sundown, I believe, are the two, yeah. And those are two films with a lot of talking, a lot of interacting, a lot of philosophizing, a lot of, yeah, you know what I mean? So those were two films I enjoyed as well, but only two characters in the film, and then the play, and then eventually, I guess that stuff was just swirling around inside of my head, you know, and because a lot of stuff that I saw, I guess on some level was something that I enjoyed. I didn't know a lot of people who had seen it and enjoyed it. As a matter of fact, so far as the films, I don't know anyone who watched them except for me, in my group. You know what I mean? Yeah, you know, but I enjoyed them. You know, I watch them over and over again. You know, and that's about it. I hadn't even really given it much thought, because like what is when I'm working and in process, I'm just in process. I'm not really thinking of outside influences or who did what. I'm just focused on how do I make this work. And if I do something that's too familiar, meaning is if I feel if I'm doing something that I've done before, finding a new direction.
Okay.
So yeah.
Gotcha. So even with the timestamps and the two characters, you still managed to put a lot of heartbreak in there, a lot of betrayal.
Well, you know what? Because basically, it's comparing it to another film, it would be like a Jamie Foxx and the Jamie Foxx Tom Cruise movie. In a sense that what you get is you get the third act. The whole novel could basically be the third act of whatever they've gone through before.
Gotcha.
And this is the third act, which is why projects like that hit the ground running. Because you're in the third act, you're in the action, you know what I mean? Anything that you need is given as backstory, briefly, and we keep the train going forward.
Well put.
Yeah.
Well put. Now, we understand that you've been doing, you said your 23rd novel now.
Yeah.
But even the storm books that you did, the
Yeah.
comic books.
Yeah.
How do you find the motivation, the time, the ideas? Do you ever run out of ideas?
Gosh, I never even thought about that. Don't jinx me. No.
I definitely would not want to do that, but I think it's impossible.
Wait, what is it? Well, I think for a lot of creative types, we have a lot of ideas, and what the public sees is the stuff that we either approved or what worked. You know, I've got stacks of stuff at home that didn't go anywhere. You know what I mean? Because that's part of it. That's the discovery process. You know, a lot of it is trying to. I may start something, and it doesn't catch me, and I'll just put it to the side, and then, you know. But that's part of writing. You know, it's like a photographer. A photographer takes a lot of shots, and then decides which one he's going to use or she's going to use. Yeah, that's the same thing. We write a lot of stuff, and then we decide what are we going to use. I had actually at one point started on 2 projects, and a lot of times I can't judge which is better, if that's a good way of saying it, you know. And I had a friend read 2, and the one that I thought was just okay, she was just like, oh my God, this is just so good. I was like, really? And then the one I thought was great, she was like, I like it. It's like, oh, you know.
Is that a tough position to kind of be in if there's something that you really like and you're passionate about that you want to push out? How do you decide between the two?
What it is, if I start it, I'm gonna finish both of them, but I only work on one thing at a time. So basically, it was which one of these am I going to work on now? Okay. You know what I mean? Yeah, but I'm going to finish it, because what happens is you can work on something for a while. Right. What's like this? I've started a project, well, working on something, and when I got to page 50, I realized I was at the first page. You understand what I'm saying? Right. It's like okay, so you know what I mean. So it's like I finally got to where I needed to be. I may could use some of the stuff before, or maybe not, but this is where I needed to be,
So
right here. Yeah. I mean, you'll get to. This was a cool idea. Hold on for a second. That's me.
That's you.
Booyah!
Indeed.
Come to the back. Why do black people get to be at the back of the store? Why can't we be at the front? Okay.
Waiting for the party to start. Indeed. The man of the hour.
Thanks.
Indeed. So tell us a little bit about what you're reading now.
Oh gosh, I'm actually reading estoy leyendo un libro que se llama La distancia entre nosotros. I'm reading a book in Spanish called The Distance Between Us, and it's a story about this by Reina Grande, and it's a story about her life. It's her autobiography, growing up in Central or South America. And what is, she had this thing in the beginning. She says there was this lady, there was this story about this lady who lived under a bridge who would come and steal the children, and they were all afraid of it. But what is, everybody's parents is coming to America to, and they call it the other side, to look for work. So for them as a kid, what happens is America is stealing their parents. Yeah, exactly.
Wow.
Sí, estoy leyéndolo para practicar español y para cuando estoy leyéndolo. Sí, yeah.
Indeed.
Yeah.
I see the Spanish is sharpening the more you travel and the more you read.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, it's well, but that's just the way I am. It's like this guy, this older guy from Ecuador. He says. He enjoys being around me because I'm continuously trying to raise my level of culture, you know, by traveling, by doing other stuff, by trying, but by not being a follower. You know what I mean?
We know you're definitely a leader.
Yeah, well, I mean, you know what? It's just that I'm never really interested in what everybody else is doing unless they're going to see the Avengers. I'm just saying, yeah. I mean, it's, you know, but that's just me. Cause it's like, even, just for example, even through novels and through, I'm gonna say, films, like say just Hulu. I'm always like, let me go over to this section, the foreign films, the stuff with subtitles. You know what I mean. So let me see what's over there. Let me go watch this. You know what I mean? Because there's so many, to see how other people tell stories. And it's a learning process for me as well, you know, because even for this one starts in the middle of something and ends in the middle of something. And that's from, you know, like seeing something, I was like, I like that. I wonder if I can do a book that we start in the middle and we end in the middle, and it starts in the middle of an action and ends in the middle of an action.
Great writer.
Yeah. I mean, but you know, just and for me, I'm always looking for something, just a little something that I haven't tried yet, and to separate this project from another project. You know.
So where do you find the time to write? I know you're busy, you're traveling, you're moving.
Yeah, but we all have 24 hours in a day. Is what do we choose to do with them? I mean, that's it. I mean, yeah. I mean, years ago, this actor, director, great guy named Junie Smith. He said, if you're watching TV all day, you're watching other people work. So I try not to spend my days watching other people work.